How's it going today, guys? It is Lucky with Anime Casuals, and today we're going to be talking about anime philosophy. Now, I want to make a quick disclaimer. This is a casual, right? Anime Casuals. This is also kind of a philosophy casuals. I did my research to the best of my abilities. So there are going to be some things maybe I left out, and you guys are more than welcome to comment on the bottom if you agree, disagree. I'd love to hear it. And so let's just go into this. Real quick spoiler alert, if you have not seen the unmasking of Tobi yet in Naruto, I'm about to spoil the crap out of that, and if you haven't, I mean, I can't really do much for you. YouTube's probably already spoiled it about like 500 times anyway with thumbnails. So, anyway, 3, 2, 1, Tobi is Obito. So, there we go. Now that we got that out of the way, we hear from Obito, who is masquerading as Madara Uchiha for a while, and we basically figure out through the course of his event or his arc that one of his main, or it seems like the main reason why he wants to go with the Moon's Eye plan or to put everybody under a genjutsu is to put everybody, including himself, or at least it seems like including himself, into a world of basically a pleasurable world. So basically, so where there is no pain. So that's a real important part of hedonic principles. Now, this is a very specific type of hedonism called hedonistic egoism, and it's basically the thought that people should act in the way that best suits their own interests. So the thing that makes you the most happy, which is typically associated with pleasure. Now, there is a little bit of a problem with that, as you can tell just by hearing about it, that pleasure may not be always the best option. But in this case, what Obito's argument is that if you could basically go into the Matrix, right? This world that's already set up for you, that's already given to you, and in this case, it's even a better version of that because you're seeing everything. There's a picture in the manga where Hinata's with Naruto, way before she's with Naruto, and Kiba's become the Hokage, and which will never happen, and Shino is, imagining finding a new bug species or some stupid thing like that. But, it's pleasurable to them. So it's a subjective, by the way, subjective, it just means that it's ever-changing, or it's in this case, it changes per person. Whereas objective means this is a concrete thing. Everybody finds this pleasurable. Everybody, that would be the case. So when we are thinking about the subjective pleasures of everybody, this meets every one of those needs because everybody's in their own genjutsu. So, in a way, this is kind of the perfect version of that, right? Or at least the most perfect version you're ever gonna get. So, when we are talking about pain versus pleasure, Obito wants to give people, and especially himself, a world without suffering, a world without pain, right? And to him, seeing Rin again is basically the highest pleasure that he can have. And even, spoiler alert again, when he dies, he guess who he sees? Rin. That's kind of you can also say that was Rin's spirit coming to him. Whatever you want to say. But that's obviously what his main goal was, and so. I'm kind of curious. The reason why I bring this up is mostly because I'm very curious about, the idea of making pleasure a main goal. All right. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't really seem, it doesn't seem practical. But it brings up this excellent question: what if we really could give you that? You lose all your autonomy, but if to be completely honest with you, I'm a part of the millennial generation. A lot of times, autonomy, the thought of acting for yourself, doesn't always seem appealing, right? Because that's majorly flawed. But it was initially what I used to think because I was kind of spoiled in that regard. I just kind of wanted things taken care of for me because if I had to work on my own, it just it just meant more work. It meant more suffering. It meant more hard labor. But wouldn't you also say, the devil's advocate over here, or the counter argument, wouldn't you also say that going through a certain amount of pain or suffering for something actually makes whatever pleasure that you're trying to indulge in, doesn't that sometimes make it a lot more valuable, a lot better? It makes it a higher pleasure. So then where does that scale go, right? So, and you can actually argue in Obito's case, it seemed like he actually ended up clearing his complete conscience. And that's a part of something with hedonic egoism, or hedonistic egoism, is that you have to basically desensitize yourself, right? Desensitize yourself to, just an example, if you enjoy stealing, right? The pleasure of stealing, that pleasure of stealing should be what you're focused on. You should not be involved in worries such as if you're stealing from the poor, the rich, or the poor, right? So if you're Robin Hood doing it for some great cause, that's a different story. If you're just finding pleasure in stealing, then you have to desensitize yourself to that, to the outlier, or to the basically to the details of what, or the context of whatever you're doing, right? So just going forward, is pleasure the highest reward in life? What do you guys think? That's, I'm just kind of bringing it up. That's what I love about philosophy. It opens a lot of doors, and it makes you ask a lot of questions about yourself. And not gonna lie, I find pleasure quite satisfying, but I also find that I tend to kind of get addicted to pleasure. So all of a sudden, I just want the pleasure of things right now. You find that you're a little bit more impatient with it. But what do you guys think? Comment below. Let me know what you guys think about hedonistic egoism. Does that fit what your philosophy is, and why does it? Have a good one, guys.